Hello, and welcome finally to our Mod Month video for the 2018 Morrowind Modding Month Modding Competition. And our 4th annual competition was a record-breaking one, with over 89 mods submitted by over 45 different modders, and today we're finally going to be taking a look at the ultimate winners of the competition here. And there's actually quite a few of them. Our judges have finished going through and playing each mod, and perhaps unsurprisingly, given just, how many amazing mods were released this year, we have an absolute ton of ties, just ties everywhere really. So this video is perhaps going to get a bit on the long side. In first place, we have a tie between Mage Robes by Melchior and Poison Crafting by Greatness 7. And in second place, we have a tie between Frostwind by Merlord and Controlled Consumption, Happy Harvesting, and Expeditious Exit by NullCascade. And in third place, we have a tie between Draugr Diversity by Grind 1911, Remiros Tomb Expansion, Easy Escort and Diligent Defenders by NullCascade, Morrowind Resources Scanner by Abot, Pitting Power and Willpower by R0, and Vaba-Amus Companion Character by TheDrunkenMudcrab. So yes, we have a lot to cover here, and as always, our links are down below. And yes, this video will probably take a while. We have 13 mods to cover here, and the script for this video is actually, I think, about 6,000 to 7,000 words long. And, well, that's going to take a little while. And of course, you will find timestamp annotations down below. And, I'm going to try and narrate this entire thing all in one go, which means my voice will probably fade out a bit at the end, but, oh well. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started here with our Mod Month winners, starting with Mage Robes by Melchior, which not only won first place, but also unlocks the People's Choice Achievement for most endorsements on any Modathon mod, the Numbers Matter Achievement for getting most downloads out of any Modathon mod, the Prophecy Foretold achievement for winning the Mod of the Month award, while also getting the most endorsements, and of course a bunch of other achievements for achieving a perfect score from the judges here. And really, this mod unlocked a lot of achievements, about 24 in total, probably the most out of any single mod submitted for this year's competition, which perhaps says something about the quality of this amazing mod. But anyway, we did just, do a showcase on this the other day, so we're not going to go into too much detail here. I'll just direct you to, our more in-depth showcase video for now, since we have a lot of other mods to cover here. But I will just go over the basics, and Mage Robes is an item, quest, and dungeon mod that adds about 19 different varieties of Mage Robes for you to eventually unlock as part of the Mage's Guild questline, including Novice Robes for when you first join, and robes for each school of magic that you can, unlock as you improve your skill in those respective schools of magic, and 13 Master's Robes for when you've reached a high enough rank within the Mage's Guild. And not only that, but this mod also adds these various Mage Robes to the actual mages of the Mage's Guild, each one wearing the one that signifies a rank and school of magic. And there's quite a variety on display here, with robes for illusion, destruction, restoration, mysticism, alteration, alchemy, and enchanting. Each with different attachments, like a scroll case, or soul gem containers, or daggers, or so on and so forth. And these robes are already, pretty amazing looking, and also come with some pretty useful enchantments on them for mage-type characters. But that's not all this mod does. It also adds in some new quests, including one to discover what happened to the Archmage robes, which have apparently been stolen. And while this isn't a particularly long quest, it does eventually lead you to a new dungeon, a set of caverns apparently buried underneath the mainland. And these are truly some of the best looking caverns ever made for Morrowind. They're simply breathtaking and beautiful. Oh, just such lush amounts of detail and radicality that this dungeon alone is argument enough for trying out this mod. But really, with everything that Mage Robes adds, it's pretty much a must-have mod for any mage or even really non-mage type characters out there. Just about everything on display here, just vastly impressed our panel judges, and given the evident quality of just everything here, it's a little surprise this is one of our tied first place mods for this year's Modathon. But moving on, our other first place winner is Poison Crafting by Greatness 7, which in addition to winning first place was also voted as the most unique mod of this year's Modathon by our panel of judges, earning the 1 in a million achievement, as well as achieving a perfect score from every judge. And as you might suspect, given the mod name here, Poison Crafting makes it easier to, craft poisons. But not only that, it also gives poisons an actual functional use in the game here. Because now you can actually apply poisons to your weapons to do some extra damage on your next swing. And not only that, but Poison Crafting also adds in some new poisons to the game, and makes graphical changes to both potions and poisons, and, makes a bunch of other gameplay enhancements, and just so much more. There's really a lot to cover here, and to start out, we're going to take a look at the new potion and poison icons that this mod adds to the game here. Poison Crafting automatically and dynamically adds potion symbols, indicating their effects to the icons of every potion in the game, except for, booze of course. So you'll be able to tell just by looking in your inventory what the effects of the potion are on the fly, which is just incredibly convenient. And not only that, but this mod also, dynamically adds the effect symbols of each potion to the actual potion models themselves, which you can see here. And this changes, again, every potion in the game except for, again, booze. And when I say it dynamically adds these symbols, I mean it covers everything. Both potions found in Vanilla Morrowind, as well as potions that you create yourself using the, alchemy system. So no matter what, you'll always be able to tell what type of potion is what just by looking at it. And this by itself is a really cool and advanced feature. But of course, that's just the tip of the iceberg here of what, poison crafting does. And now you can apply poisons to your weapons by selecting a poison from your inventory. And you'll notice I have quite a few of them here. And then drop it on your character while holding the poison shortcut key, which by default is the Alt key. Though you can change this in the settings menu, as we'll see here in a minute. And really, you can apply any type of poison really to any type of weapon. And in my case, I'm using a sword, but you could use this with daggers, throwing stars, arrows, or just what have you. Now each poison application is only good for one strike though, so you need to keep applying more poisons if you're battling a ton of foes here. And now something I did want to point out here is that poison crafting does actually add a new icon to the user interface here. And I'm not really sure if you can see it here, but in the lower left-hand corner, just above my weapon, you'll notice a little green drop, which indicates my weapon is poisoned, which is just, a nice little feature here. But of course, the really big features here have to do with the alchemy system, and perhaps one of the first things you'll note here is that now you can just place alchemical equipment and activate them to start the whole, potion or poison making process, instead of having to gather everything into your inventory. And this basically means that poison crafting will replace at-home alchemy, since it does, kind of cover its features here. But anyway, you'll now get to choose between brewing regular potions, which enhances positive effects, and brewing poisons, which enhances, negative effects. So you can more easily, deliberately make poisons to use on your weapons here. And as I mentioned before, any poisons or potions you create will automatically have the proper spell effect symbols on their inventory icons, and also on their 3D models. And now one of the other sort of technical things we should mention here just real quick is that poison crafting also comes with a settings menu, which will allow you to turn on or turn off or adjust almost every feature in this mod here, including an option to change the poison application hotkey to shift or control, and you can also turn off the, alchemy labels and a bunch of other stuff, which is, fairly convenient if you want only some features and not others. And just real quick, we're just going to show off attacking someone using poisons, and basically whenever you, hit a target with a poisoned attack, you'll get a small notice letting you know that your target has been poisoned. And of course, since it only applies to one attack, you'll need to keep applying, other poisons pretty quickly. And all in all, this is just an amazing and really just another must-have mod, especially for mages, assassins, or just regular old adventurers who want some more gameplay mechanics to check out. And all this just really blew away our judges, hence why it's our tied first place winner this year with a perfect score. And now moving on to our second place winners, we're going to start out with Frostwind, a camping survival mod by Merlord, which came very close to being in first place, missing the top spot by only a couple of points. And it's unlocked the chances for the achievement with a Tar Heel Mastery, for getting so close yet so far to getting that top sweet spot. And also, it's one of only about 7 or 8 mods that got a perfect judge preference score, as every single one of our judges indicated they wanted to play this mod in their own games, which is pretty impressive by itself. And we usually don't have such adamant agreement amongst the judges here. But anyway, we have already showcased, Frostwind before, so we're not going to do a full showcase here. Instead, I'll direct you to the showcase video we already did a few weeks ago, but we will just, cover the basics here. And essentially, Frostwind adds a lot of new survival mechanics to Morrowind based on temperature and exposure to the elements, including new camping mechanics that aren't just a fun immersion element, but also critical for surviving when stuck out in some of the colder regions of Morrowind and Solstheim. And basically, each of the regions of Ardenfell and Solstheim has a unique temperature variable. Some areas are warmer, like the SK Isles, Bitter Coast, Red Mountain, and of course, the Ashlands, while others are colder, like the Azur's Coast region, Sheogorath and West Gash regions. But weather conditions also affect temperatures, and rain and thunderstorms will, bring down the temperature a fair bit. And getting wet, either by rain or by swimming, will increase your exposure, which will eventually, harm your stats. And of course, you can protect yourself from the elements by wearing light armor, or building a campfire and staying close to it to get warm, or setting up a tent and a bedroll and all that. And not only that, but you can also use the campfire to cook a number of different types of meals, which will give you a well-fed bonus, and getting a full night's sleep will also give you a well-rested bonus. which will, of course, boost your stats a bit, a nice counterbalance to exposure. And to keep in mind, if you're caught out on a long journey, you will need to set up camp every now and then, as the weather at nighttime especially really causes temperatures to drop. And in order to stay warm, you'll need to camp or, get indoors at a town, or possibly a dungeon, I guess. And as far as survival mods go, this is by far the most detailed one to date. And just real quick, I should mention that the footage here is actually a little outdated. There was an update recently adding some new tint options for camping. And Merlord, in our interview this last week, mentioned a number of new features that are coming in the near future. So there's a lot more to look forward to here. And either way, this is certainly one of the more impressive mods from this year's Modathon, so it comes as a little surprise that the judges thought pretty highly of it. But moving on to our next second place winner here, we have a controlled consumption by NullCascade, which in addition to the second place achievement also got a perfect score and functionality, getting this functional family achievement. And now, this is one of several fairly simple and straightforward Lua mods that NullCascade released as part of this year's Modathon, demonstrating the power of the new NWC 2.1 nightly builds. And basically it's sort of a balancing mod, limiting the number of potions that you can drink at once, which is to say you can only drink about one potion at once, and then you have to wait about 5 seconds before drinking another one. And this applies to all potions in the game, including booze, because it's a Lua mod. It'll work with both modded and vanilla potions, and really anything you can drink. And this is also kind of an immersion mod, since, vanilla Morrowind's unlimited drinking all at once never really made much sense. And anyway, that's pretty much all this mod does, and I think you can actually, configure the wait time in between drinking potions in the config file. But anyway, this mod impressed the judges with its balancing capabilities, and it's certainly another, cool example of what all MWC 2.1 can do here. And speaking of, our next second place winner here is Happy Harvesting by NullCascade. And fair warning, we do have quite a few of these NullCascade mods to cover today, and this one also won the second place achievement and this functional family achievement as well. And basically, Happy Harvesting is an auto-harvesting mod that automatically harvests all ingredients from organic containers that you click on and adds it to your inventory. And yes, this is, awfully similar to graphical herbalism, only because this is an MWC Lua mod. Happy Harvesting automatically harvests any and all plants, whether from the vanilla game or from mods. So this will work on the Tower built mainland, Skyrim Home of the Nords, and Province Cyrodiil, which all have lots of custom plants not covered by graphical herbalism. And really, if you want, you can use this with graphical herbalism. Happy Harvesting will merely cover the plants that mod doesn't. So this is, basically another great little convenience mod, and that's doubtless part of what, impressed the judges so much here. And if you're planning to use the newest update of MWC anyway, you should give this mod a try. Anyway, while we do have one more mod tied for second place, we'll be postponing that until the end of the video here for humorous effect. So instead, we're just going to move right on to our third place winners, starting with Draugr Diversity by Grand 1911, another mod with a perfect score in functionality and a almost perfect score in judge preference, as many of our panel judges indicated that they plan to play with this mod, or make a few slight tweaks for their own save games. But anyway, this is another mod that we've already showcased, and you'll find links to all of the more dedicated showcase videos for these mods down below. But for now, we're just going to cover the essential elements of what all this mod does, and basically it adds a lot more, diversity and variety to the Draugrs of Solstheim, and one of only really two types of undead enemies found in the Nordic Barrows of Solstheim in Vanilla Blood Moon. And now you'll come across all sorts of different undead opponents on Solstheim, including Draugr warriors, mages, shamans, giants, skeletons, hunters, dread knights, dragon priests, and so on and so forth. And each of these new varieties looks different. Some have armor, some wear robes and cast magic, others use weapons, many of them have different colors of eyes. And all in all, they make the Nordic Barrows of Solstheim much more exciting and also dangerous than they were before, as many of these creatures are high-level opponents that'll provide a bit of a challenge for high-level characters. And not only that, but this mod also adds a new dungeon, a new Nordic Barrow currently inhabited by a dragon priest, for you to fight through and explore. And as one of the last mods we released for the Modathon, it's certainly a really good and fun mod to check out, and a must-have if you're planning to play through the Blood Moon expansion again. And next up, we have another third place winner, Remiros Tomb expansion by Remiros, one of the very first mods released from the Modathon, coming out the very first day of the competition. And while it has received some updates since then, adding more dungeon overhauls and expansions, for the purpose of avoiding spoilers and all that, we'll be using the original version for this video here. But do keep in mind, there's a lot more to see and do than our short showcase video here might suggest. And in any event, this is one of 2 big dungeon overhaul and expansion mods to come out for this year's Modathon, the other one being the Stonehalls of Solstheim, which provides overhauls for the Nordic Barrows of Solstheim, which just barely missed getting 3rd place here as well. But anyway, this mod overhauls and expands the Dunmerry Tombs of Ardenfell, or at least some of them anyway. Much like the Dual Rebirth project, this is very much an ongoing endeavor, and currently, as of the last update, it covers about 4 of the tombs of Ardenfell, with work still being done on the rest. And what's already here though is pretty impressive, including new enemies, puzzles to solve, and in general just a lot more, challenges. Remiros has been focusing on some of the more important tombs first, ones that have valuable artifacts or involved in quests, and changing these tombs so that they're, a bit more of a challenge, and certainly more time consuming than they were in vanilla Morrowind, since a lot of these tombs were originally quite small and straightforward. And now some of these tombs are really quite large, with new chambers and a lot more legwork and fighting involved in order to get what you came for, which is, as it should be. There's also some new artifacts and items for you to find, the occasional boss fight, and some new, rather nice atmospheric additions to the dungeons here. And all in all, this is one of those projects you should really keep an eye on going into the future, and it's definitely, a great mod to check out for any dungeon delvers out there. And moving on, our next mod is Easy Escort by NullCascade, one of several NullCascade mods that placed during the competition. And this is another sort of straightforward lure mod that simply makes, doing escort quests or keeping companions with you a lot easier. With Easy Escort, it's now pretty much impossible to lose any of your followers, whether they're, vanilla NPCs, modded companions, or escort quest NPCs from the Tower Built mainland, or Scum Home of the Nords, or just what have you. They'll always be right behind you, whether you're running at top speed, jumping through the clouds, or using the console window to instantly teleport yourself to a different town. With Easy Escort, you'll never lose your companions or followers again, unless of course, you tell them to wait somewhere. And again, we have showcased this mod before, so we've, pretty much covered everything this mod does, and again, it's just a really handy convenience mod to have on hand. And next up, we have the Morrowind Resource Scanner by Abot, another one of our 3rd place winners here, and this isn't really so much a mod per se as it is a utility program. And basically, what this utility program does is generate information about your Morrowind install, including scanning all resource files in your data files, what's being used by what mod, missing resources, unused resource files that are just cluttering up space, and it can also be used to clean your data files folder. And this is really quite useful, particularly for, figuring out why a mod might be missing assets, or tracking down a particular resource that you might want to use for yourself, though the applications here might be a bit more useful for, modders than they are for players, but definitely there's plenty of useful, applications for this mod. I would definitely recommend it if you're, using a lot of mods and need to track something down. And we're next going to be taking a look at yet another of our 3rd place winners here, and another rather small mod, Putting Power and Willpower by R0. And this is kind of a difficult mod to showcase, really. It was a last-minute entry submitted on the very last day, and it's one of those small mods that all the judges just really liked, because it makes the gameplay more interesting, though at the same time, it's a really small mod, which makes it, a bit harder to showcase here. But basically, it makes it so that the Willpower attribute works the way it was supposed to in vanilla Morrowind. The original idea of Willpower is that the higher your, Willpower attribute is, the more you'd be able to resist spells, but it didn't really work out that way in vanilla Morrowind. This mod simply makes it so that your ability to resist magical attacks is increased with your Willpower, though your chance of resisting an attack also partially depends on your Luck attribute, and also your current fatigue level. And this does make the game a bit more interesting, especially for, Mage type characters, as this also works for NPCs and creatures, so their resistance to your, magical attacks will increase with their Willpower, so it kind of works, both ways. And in any event, this is another, really interesting magic-related gameplay mod to come out in this year's event, and it's definitely worth, taking a look at. Gee golly gosh, just how many of these are there? Alright, it looks like we have Diligent Defenders by NullCascade next. And NullCascade will be going in the history books for most mods to place in the top 3 spots for a Modathon competition. I mean, he had about, 5 winning mods? That's pretty insane. But anyway, this is perhaps another, rather simple and straightforward mod that uses Lua scripting to improve the game just a little bit. And in any case, Diligent Defenders makes it so that immediately after combat begins, any companions you have will, immediately come to your defense. And likewise, if a companion is attacked, any other companions, you have will immediately go to their defense of that companion. And this is a rather, nice feature, because historically, companions are a little slow to engage in combat in Morrowind. And, if you're traveling with a modest-sized group, one or two members might get attacked and the others, might not even respond. And now that's no longer the case, and because this is an MWSC 2.1 lure mod, it will just work for every potential companion out there, whether in vanilla Morrowind or added in by mod, making it a must-have for those who, like to use a lot of companion mods out there. And we finally come to the last of our third place winners here, the decidedly odd Vaba-Amus companion character by TheDrunkenMudcrab. And this is one of only maybe about 5 mods that managed to nab a perfect score in the creativity field from the judges here, as well as a perfect score in functionality, earning the, of course, I'm an expert achievement. But anyway, this mod adds a new companion to the game, only he isn't quite like your, other typical companion mods out there. For one thing, he's a scrib, and for another thing, he's an alcoholic scrib with a drinking problem. And of course, he talks, which is a bit unusual for scribs because they don't normally do that. And you can tell he's definitely had a rather rough night here, with lots of bottles just scattered about, including a personal bottle of Flynn that he just carries around him. And of course, he needs a bit of help getting back home because, he's too drunk to make it there on his own. Apparently he lives in the manor on the other side of town, and should you agree to help him out, this could be the start of a wonderful or a really terrible friendship. And one of the neat things about this companion mod is that you can, choose to carry him either in your inventory or on top of your head. So he could just, ride along on top of you as you stroll around town, which is, a bit comical looking to be sure. And just real quick, we're just going to walk around Saran here with our, scrib companion on my character's head, just again to show you how this looks. It's, certainly a rather unique take on companion travel. And, this does give me a lot of flashbacks to, head crabs with Gordon Freeman in Half-Life 2. Only, of course, in this case, it's a scrib instead of a head crab that's trying to kill you. And anyway, just real quick, we're going to take a look at his companion features here. And you have the option, when he's riding along with you, to either talk to him or let him ride on your head. And he has some of the basic companion features, like, travel commands. And he also has a travel mode option, so you can tell him to fall behind you, or, just have him hop into your inventory, or what have you. And of course, because this is a TheDrunkenMudcrab mod, he has a copious amount of dialogue with a background story and various new dialogue topics, and some perhaps crass jokes every now and then. And of course, he does have some dialogue for various quests, including the main quest a bit. Though you'll be spending most of your time with Vaba-Amus around Saran, at least at first, since he has several quests to do around the city. And you can actually, check out his bedroom in the manor here, where he has a bed, some steps that he can use to get up to it, a bunch of books scattered about, and really, he seems to be, a fairly messy roommate. And as I mentioned before, he does have a number of quests to do around Saran, including, trying to locate his favorite, rather salacious pillow book, going to the local pub to get drunk, and occasionally, get into a brawl here and there, and a bunch of other fun adventures. And there's a fair bit of content here, and this is, really probably the most fleshed out companion mod to be released for this year's Modathon, and it's certainly, quite different from anything else out there. If you're looking for a unique and one-of-a-kind companion with a, few quests to check out, this is certainly an interesting mod that might be worth playing for yourself. And really, this has just been an amazing competition with so many great mods, many of which, could have come really close to being in the top 3 placements this year. We had an additional 15 mods that could have been contenders for the Mod of the Month. And if this year's Modathon isn't proof of how great the Morrowind Modding community is, I really don't know what is.